Becoming a community advocate, steps to drive change locally. Hello and welcome to another episode of our civic engagement series. Today we're focusing on a crucial topic, how to become a community advocate and drive change locally. Community advocacy is about being the voice for our neighborhoods, standing up for the values we believe in, and creating the change we want to see in our local government. And my friends, it's up to you and I. No one else is going to do it for you. But how can we do this effectively? Let's dive in. Firstly, it's essential that you know your local government structure. Understand who the key officials are, what their roles are, and how decisions are made. You also want to focus on creating a good working relationship with these officials. And creating a good working relationship with these officials doesn't necessarily mean you have to be their friend. What it does mean is you want to have a good way to communicate with them, make sure they know who you are, make sure they respect who you are, and make sure that you, my friends, are working with a group of people, not as an individual, so that your voice carries weight. And when I say working with a group of people, what we've found historically is if you add to your group people that have a good reputation in your community, business owners, community leaders, these are the types of people that carry weight. The types of people that reduce your influence, if you will, are people that are brash, overly confrontational, difficult to work with, people that come into meetings making demands without taking the time to create working relationships, people who do not take the time to understand things from the official's point of view. I'm just being very blunt and frank with you. This is what it takes. And I'm not sharing anything new with you. I'm simply sharing with you information that you already know because you and I have already employed these principles in relationships that you and I are part of already, whether it's our boss, our people that we work for us, people who work with us, our friends. We use these principles in those relationships already. So I'm sharing with you that you want to transfer those, you want to use those same people skills and that same wisdom with relationships with our officials, because at the end of the day, officials are also human beings and everything is done by relationship. So I hope that makes sense. And with that said, please take the time, if you don't have access to those individuals, join a local group. You'll have links to local groups here in Sarasota County right below this video, maybe in the description or in the material that you use to get to this particular topic. So with that said, let's continue on in terms of how you work with your local government structure. That you want to find out who the key officials are, what their roles are, how their decisions are made, and you can find this information on your local government official website and other sources like that. Secondly, prepare for your meetings. This is so important. Prepare. So this is another step that often we as volunteers omit. So I'll share with you how we have done it in the past. And so let's just say there are 3 people that are going to see an official. Before the meeting, we have a call, and on that call, we determine who is going to start speaking on our behalf. For example, make the introductions. For example, ask the official how many minutes that they have for the meeting. Point here, if the official's handler or assistant has said you get 15 minutes, you still want to ask the person you're meeting with how many minutes you have. And if you've done a good job in the first few seconds and made a good professional impression, I have found that oftentimes, even though you're told you have 15 minutes, the official might say, no, I have more time than that. So these are mechanics that you want to do to be respectful and professional in your interaction. The next thing we discuss is who is going to bring up point number 1 in the conversation. Right in that beginning stages, we also emphasize that you want to ask the official for their point of view, meaning you come into a conversation, let's say you're talking about how elections are managed, you have your bullet points, you have your agenda that your team has rehearsed. But before you get into the nitty-gritty, or sometime in the meeting, towards the top of the meeting, you want to get input from the official. You want to get the official speaking and sharing their point of view, because that'll help you inform yourself on how to conduct the rest of the meeting. Now, If you're watching this video and everything that I've shared with you makes sense and like, yeah, of course, Raj, that's what I do already, and it's not a foreign topic, then you likely are a person who has, among your strengths, the ability to listen and communicate and create synergy and coalition. If, however, you're listening to this, I'm like, man, Raj, I never do that. I haven't done that before. Then it's okay. You still want to take the initiative because you're watching this video, because you have an interest in this topic. What you want to do is you want to bring people onto your team that have these strengths. Again, I want to dive into this a little bit. So we have found that there are 5 types of volunteers, more or less. One type of volunteer is very data-driven, very black and white, low tolerance for disagreement. These individuals are very good at researching complex information. They're the ones that often will identify the problem that needs improvement. But those individuals are not as strong in working with people where there's no disagreement. They get triggered easily. They get angered easily. If the official doesn't see it exactly the way they see it, they're frustrated. So if that's you want to have on your team someone who has what we call connector or relationship skills. These are people who can deal with disagreement and figure out how to create coalition and do so without sacrificing the intent of what you want to get done. The next thing I want to mention is this is a long-term process. Just like every key relationship in your life has been a long-term process. For example, if you're married, you did not meet your spouse and get married the next day. The relationship evolved over time. You gained respect. You earned trust. You created safety. You created credibility over time. Bottom line is relationships with the officials, while not romantic, obviously, still are subject to the same principles, meaning they take time, they require mutual respect, they require mutual collaboration, and just like you do with your children, your employees, your boss, your spouse, they are going to take some level of compromise, because in none of those relationships I just mentioned do you ever get to have all of the things you want and that relationship be successful. So the fact is that's how all our key relationships work. Relationships with your officials are no exception. So let's continue. You have got the meeting where you're rehearsing who introduces, how much time we have, introduces your points, ask the official for their points. You want to have someone already predetermined on your side to take notes. You also want to be writing down body language, like when you're going through agenda, when did the official lean in? When did the officials lean back? When did they cross their hands? When did they check out? So you begin to understand from your official's point of view what ideas that you have that they're likely to get behind and which ones they are likely not to get behind. And the last thing, while we're on this, you also want to, on this rehearsal, is determine who's going to ask for the close, the ask. When I say an ask, what does that mean? What is the thing that you want that official to do as a result of that meeting? And how are you going to follow up? What are the next steps? So some of the things we've done is, based on this information that we presented, is that if this information becomes a bill that gets introduced in the state capitol, would you put your support behind it? That's an ask. That's a specific ask. We'd like to get back with you to follow up on what we discussed today. That's another ask. So these are things. So none of these things rarely happen organically. So you want to rehearse that ahead of time. And when you take the time to rehearse it, your meetings become very successful, and you begin to create a reputation of being volunteers that have done their homework, volunteers that need to be listened to, and volunteers that have a handle on the details on how to execute the solution that you're asking your official to do. All right, so a lot of information there on how to handle the preparation. Back to the meeting. So again, you know who the officials are, you know who their roles are, you know how the decisions are made in that organization. You obviously now also have the key points that you want emphasized. You have the questions that you want to ask. And now, during the meeting, practice active listening during the meetings. Remember, understanding other people's perspective is just as important as voicing your own. Being a good listener can lead to productive conversations and mutual respect. Lastly, it's crucial to be professional. It's okay to disagree, but always remember to do so professionally and respectfully. A professional demeanor can foster open dialogue and help establish your credibility. Remember, everyone has a role to play in shaping our community. Let's step up, make a difference. If you're interested in learning more and taking a deeper dive into civic participation, we have a digital product available. It's a comprehensive guide to understanding local governance and becoming an active, successful participant. You will find a link in the description. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family, and let's all work together to make our community as best as it can be. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and stay proactive.